Learn English through story. The unexpected mentor. In the heart of a bustling city, where high-rise buildings loomed over crowded streets, lived a successful entrepreneur named James. Known for his brilliant mind and relentless drive, he had built a thriving tech company from the ground up. Yet, despite his accolades and wealth, James often felt a void in his life. His success came at the cost of personal relationships. He had few friends and no real connections beyond business. One chilly winter evening, as James was leaving the office late, he noticed a figure huddled in a doorway. It was an elderly man with a weathered face, wearing a tattered coat and a beanie that looked too big for his head. The man was selling handmade wooden toys, each carved with care. James paused, feeling a twinge of sympathy, but he quickly dismissed the thought and continued on his way. The next day, as he left the office again, James saw the man in the same spot. This time, he stopped and approached the old man. "Did you sell many toys?" James asked, trying to make conversation. The old man looked up, a twinkle in his eye. "Not as many as I used to, but each one I sell brings me joy." "Each toy has a story." Curious, James inquired further, and the man began to share the tales behind each toy he had crafted. He spoke of the joy they brought to children, the laughter they evoked, and the love he poured into his work. As he spoke, James felt a strange connection forming, something he hadn't experienced in a long time. "What's your name?" James asked. "Henry," the old man replied. "And you, young man?" "James," he said, his mind racing with thoughts of deadlines and meetings. "I really need to get going." "Of course. But remember, the value of a thing lies not in its price but in the heart behind it," Henry said, waving goodbye. James nodded absently and left, but Henry's words echoed in his mind. The following week, he found himself thinking of the old man more often, and a small part of him yearned for the simple joy that Henry seemed to possess. He decided to visit Henry again. When he returned, he found Henry sitting in the same spot, with a few toys displayed in front of him. This time, James bought a small wooden car, and as he handed over the money, he felt a sense of satisfaction that he hadn't felt from any business transaction in years. "Thank you, James," Henry said, a smile spreading across his face. "This car will find a good home." Days turned into weeks, and James made it a routine to visit Henry. He learned more about the old man's life via his struggles and triumphs, the love he had for his late wife, and how he poured that love into his craft. In return, James shared stories of his own, revealing his fears and loneliness masked by a facade of success. One day, as they sat together on the cold pavement, Henry said, "You know, James, you remind me a lot of myself when I was your age. I chased success, thinking it would bring me happiness. But I learned that true fulfillment comes from connections, not accolades." James pondered this. He had always believed that success was the key to happiness, but Henry's perspective began to shift something deep within him. As winter faded into spring, James found himself making changes. Inspired by Henry, he started mentoring young entrepreneurs, offering his knowledge and experience without expecting anything in return. He realized that sharing his journey brought him a sense of purpose he had long been missing. One afternoon, as he was leaving the office, he received a call from one of the young entrepreneurs he was mentoring. The young man was in crisis, worried that his startup would fail. James could hear the desperation in his voice. "I don't know what to do, James. I feel like I'm letting everyone down," the young man said. "Take a breath. Let's talk this through." "You're not alone in this," James replied, recalling Henry's words about connection. He spent the next hour guiding him through his fears, sharing stories of his own struggles. By the end of the conversation, the young man felt renewed and grateful. As James hung up, he realized that he had been wrong to think of success as a solitary journey. It was about lifting others as you rose. His visits with Henry became a source of joy and wisdom, and James began to appreciate the beauty of simple moments as sharing a laugh, exchanging stories, and building connections. One day, as they sat together, Henry turned to James. "You've changed, my friend. There's a light in you now that wasn't there before." "I owe it all to you, Henry," James admitted. "You opened my eyes to what truly matters." But the next week, when James visited, he found Henry's spot empty. Concerned, he asked a nearby shopkeeper about the old man. "Oh, Henry, he passed away last night," the shopkeeper said gently. "He was a good man." James felt as though the ground had been pulled from under him. The grief was palpable. He realized he had lost not just a friend but a mentor who had helped him rediscover himself. In the following days, James felt a sense of urgency to honor Henry's memory. He organized a small gathering at the local community center, inviting those who had been touched by Henry's kindness. They shared stories, laughter, and tears, all while creating wooden toys together, just as Henry had done. As the sun set that evening, James stood in front of a crowd of people who had all gathered because of the old man's impact. He spoke from the heart, sharing how Henry had changed his life. "He taught me that success isn't measured by wealth but by the connections we foster and the love we share. Let us honor him by carrying his legacy forward." In that moment, James realized that Henry had given him the greatest gift of all, the gift of perspective. He learned to value time, relationships, and the power of kindness. As he left the gathering, James felt a renewed sense of purpose. He knew he would carry Henry's lessons with him forever, passing them on to others just as Henry had done for him. Life had become richer, filled with warmth and connections, and it was all because of an unexpected mentor who had taught him the true meaning of success. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoyed, then please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.